does it feel like to have impact now on AXS television and to have you've had some great networks in the past, some were small, some were big, but this one has had a tradition of wrestling.
Yeah, and I mean, Impact Wrestling coming to AXS TV and Anthem Sports, acquiring a majority interest in AXS. It feels like basically now the 2 years that we've put into this process with Anthem Sports since myself and Don came in to head up Impact Wrestling, it feels like, okay, guys, like here we are. It's been a lot of hard work. It's been a long journey. There's still a lot of hard work to do, but like this is a moment now where it's like from the second that I came on board, because I know the people behind Anthem Sports and I knew that there was stability there, but now I feel like with this move, now fans understand why there's stability, because it's been so hard this last while. Basically, when we left Pop TV, we knew where we were going, but we couldn't share that. And we know that led to a lot of speculation and a lot of frustration from fans, because they're like, Impact had gone from one network to a smaller network to a smaller network. And then with the move to Pursuit, like fans were really kind of disillusioned, and it was so hard to not be able to say, like, come on guys, like we've got this happening. So that day when we finally got to, and we were running out of daylight on the day that it was announced, and it was almost to the point where like, man, we're not going to get this out today. And then when we got it out, it was just it was a celebration, because now we were able to share with our fans who have been on this journey. This is what we've been saying when we had a plan. This was part of the plan. Now Impact Wrestling's here. It's here today, it's here tomorrow, and it's here the day after that, and for as far as you can see into the future, because we have stability. We have a broadcast partner that truly is our partner. Anthem Sports and Entertainment, owns Impact Wrestling and a majority interest in AXS TV, and now we get to at the most integrated level work with our broadcaster to make sure that it's the best possible product for both Impact Wrestling and AXS TV.
And you got a great position during the week on Tuesday night.
Yeah.
There's no wrestling on Tuesday night. It's a total dull, but that's not really wrestling. But you've got your own day now.
Yeah.
How much are you able to play with that, and how awesome is it where you're in the earlier first part of the week instead of being at the end of the week?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's great that we're off on our own. And, competition's good. So where you're seeing stuff with like NXT and AEW go head-to-head, that creates buzz, and that's great. But one thing that we've really focused on here in these last 2 years is what's going on in our own house. And we think some of the troubles of the past with this company and others under previous regimes was worrying too much about other people and what they were doing. We have our own day. We have our own network. We can go out there and we can focus on being the best possible Impact Wrestling that we can be. So Tuesday's a great time. It's a great day for us. 8 p.m. is a great time slot for us. And we get to go out there now every week and do what we've already been doing, which is deliver what we think is arguably the best and most dynamic wrestling product week in and week out. And now we get to deliver it domestically on such a bigger platform so that more fans can be drawn in and invested in what we're doing.
And with the business side of wrestling, because that's one thing people don't realize sometimes, that wrestling is a business. And with what has happened in the past, the history of this company already, since it started with TNA and Jeff Jarrett and what's gone on with that, and now to where it is now, what have you seen in the changes like in Impact, and especially on the business side, and seeing it grow, getting more merchandise out, getting now with AXS, which is going to grow it even bigger? What have you seen some of the changes?
Well, I think the biggest thing is with Anthem Sports here now, there's a strong business base to it. Historically, this company didn't make decisions a lot of the time based off of sound business practices. It was what a certain individual in power wanted. And what we have now is a situation where, as part of a larger corporate structure, we have the support when it comes to the back end of things that sometimes was lacking. And we have great business minds. And, this is such a great situation because it was important to me and Don Callis when we came in at the beginning of 2018 that we had the freedom to do what we felt we needed to do with Impact Wrestling to make it as successful as it can be. And we've gotten that. Ed Nordholm has been raiding the trenches with us from day one, working side by side with us. And we have the support of everybody at Anthem, from Len Asper, our majority owner, on down. So a combination of the freedom to run the company the way we want, but having the support of the entire Anthem Sports corporate structure has been one of the biggest and most refreshing changes I've seen from previous times here.
and you've got a great lineup of roster of wrestlers too. Some that you haven't seen performers like that in other wrestling outlets. What was it about putting together a team and maybe readjusting the team for what we're seeing?
Yeah, one of the biggest things to us was building a roster that was diverse and building a roster that was homegrown. In the past, and you've seen it historically in wrestling, it was relying on who had came from somewhere else and everything else. And what we've tried to do is make sure that our homegrown stars are the focus of our product. Now, it's great to have talents that have been other places. Like, it's great having a guy like Tommy Dreamer, who's a legend in this sport, around to be part of our product. It's great having a guy like RVD excited and rejuvenated to be here and be part of Impact Wrestling, or Ken Shamrock to come in here and do stuff with us. But these guys' role here is different than in the past. In the past, guys like that were used as the cornerstones. And if you look at it, like, we're probably not sitting here if years ago somebody would have made the decision that AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, Christopher Daniels, Bobby Roode were the cornerstones, and that the garnish around that was the Hulk Hogan's, the Jeff Hardy, the Ric Flairs, right? So we have an opportunity. We have our homegrown stars, and we get to use these legendary characters in a lot of instances as supporting cast to help nurture and to help tell compelling stories with the athletes that are going to be here this year, next year, and maybe 5 years from now. And the thing is that in wrestling, you're always evolving, and a turnover in roster is important. Otherwise, things get stale. So for us, the biggest thing of what we've done here in the last 2 years is, as individuals left, we saw it as an opportunity to bring in a fresh new character. And rather than go out there and rely on somebody who'd been around for 15 or 20 years, we went out there and we've been seeking out athletes that we think we can develop and build into our own stars. Stars that when people think of that individual, when people think of LAX, they think Impact Wrestling. When people think of Sami Callihan, they think Impact Wrestling. When people think of the Knockouts champion Taya Valkyrie, they think Impact Wrestling. Not that these athletes didn't have success other places, but where they came and were nurtured and really truly became stars. And those are the people that we're going to build around. A once-in-a-generation superstar like Tessa Blanchard, like, she's a one-of-a-kind. And when you think of Tessa Blanchard, you think of Impact Wrestling.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's one thing I love about Impact Wrestling is, like, you wouldn't have an AJ Styles.
Yeah.
To where he is now. Mm-hmm. They all started somewhere, and when you look at it, you always remember the Impact Wrestling days.
Yep.
When they started, when he had the shorter hair, and
right,
that kid, and what it is now. I mean, that's something that definitely has been the legacy of what Impact is, and we're seeing it continue now, especially with world champion Brian Cage.
Yeah. There's so much great talent out there, and they just need to be put in a position to succeed. They need to have the support of the company, and they need to be, nurtured and brought along and allowed to develop. And that's something that's very important to us, and that's something that I think we've done very well within the last 2 years. Whether it's seasoned professionals that have been around but hadn't had that large platform, or whether it's young people that are just starting out. Like, if you look at Ace Austin, where he was 6-8 months ago and where he is now. You take a look at Kira Hogan, and we brought her in, a couple years ago now. But getting her here and seeing the development of her and see how she's just blossomed and grown into this role. She's now one of the very best performers out there, both in the ring and with all of the performance aspects outside of the ring. And being able to do that and develop homegrown talent, I think, is one of the things that is going to allow us to stand out. That, and to me, the other thing that allows us to stand out is the storytelling. We really work hard to try to tell dynamic, compelling stories. And we try to reward people. And Jimmy Jacobs, is a guy that I have a lot of respect for. I heard him say this earlier, that there's places where they almost punish you for being invested and having watched over a long period of time. Because they'll take a character and change everything about that character and shove them in front of you 3 months later and say, oh, don't worry what they did 3 months. That doesn't matter anymore. We're doing this now. What we do is we always try to make sure we're true to the characters, because that's better for the athletes themselves. Like, they need to know who they are and what drives them. And then once that's established, then we need to treat that character with respect and treat that viewer with respect, because that fan who knows what Brian Cage did 3 months ago and 6 months ago and 9 months ago, we can't all of a sudden rewrite history. That's written. We need to respect that. And if we need to go somewhere else, we need to figure out how to get there while respecting the history that brought us there and showing that proper respect for a fan who's invested enough that they remember that. Because it's such a disconnect. We're like, well, why is that happening now? Don't you remember? It's like only 4 months ago that he hit him in the face with a sledgehammer. Why are we now being told they've been the best of friends for 10 years? We don't do that stuff, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And the relationship with the AAA wrestling in Mexico, I think that's one of the best things that I've seen. Because you see a lot of the wrestlers that are flamboyant, flying, and especially for me being Latino, having that be the superheroes of our culture. What is it like to be able to bring many of those Mexican wrestlers who may not have gotten a chance to wrestle in the U.S. to have that chance now with them?
Yeah, and I think that our relationship with AAA Lucha Libre has been unbelievable, and I think it's been a great relationship for both sides, because we've been able to do things to help and support and benefit AAA, and certainly AAA has been an amazing partner to us, providing support and assistance to us in so many areas. So it's great to have partners, like a partner promotion like that you can trust, and that is there for you when you need them, and then that you're happy. Like when AAA calls us and says, hey, you know, can you help us with this? Like, we drop what we're doing to go help it, because they're our partner. You know, they've been as good a friend as anybody could ask for. And Lucha Libre was so far ahead of the curve. When you look at it, at a time when, quote unquote, American wrestling was throwing out midgets wrestling as a comedy act and a sideshow, you had the minis in Lucha Libre out there as amazing, some of the most amazing, engaging characters and performers, as high flying as anybody, are the minis. And at a time now where just finally people hear, you know, in a domestic product are saying, oh, wow, intergender wrestling. Well, intergender isn't a thing in Lucha Libre, because the minis, the females, and the men, and even the exoticos all compete on the same stage. And that's one of the amazing things about Lucha Libre. And taking some of those aspects and bringing that here to America has been something we feel very strongly about. And then being able to feature, like you said, some of the characters, whether it's Aerostar, Drago, or like, you know, coming up here at Bound for Glory, we have Dr. Wagner. Dr. Wagner started wrestling in the mid-'80s, and he's still amazing. You know, and he was at one of our events down in Mexico City recently, and I mean, that crowd still loves him. And I mean, from the first beat of his music to him walking out on that stage, he had that crowd in the palm of his hands. And to have a guy like that who's a legend of legend and getting to say, like, you know, hey, you know, would love to have you come to Chicago, be part of our pay-per-view. And he's like, yes, amigo, please, thank you. Like, to have a guy like that, he can do whatever he wants and pick and choose what he's going to do. And the fact that he was excited to come be part of Bound for Glory, and now we know sold out Bound for Glory, is exciting, and it's humbling for us. So we think it's a great relationship, and we get to celebrate that rich Latino culture and that Lucha Libre culture, and incorporating that into our world is very important, because this is not a world anymore where you have American wrestling here and Japanese wrestling here, and you have your Mexican wrestling here, and then, you know, oh, well, maybe we'll bring in a women's match as an attraction. We're wrestling, and, you know, it's important to us that we feature the cultural differences. It's important to us that our women are equals. Like, our knockouts division was at the forefront. Back when places were either not letting women wrestle or having them do pillow fights or wrestle in mud over who got to, in a storyline, sleep with a 65-year-old man, we put out Gail Kim and Awesome Kong and ODB. We put out amazing female athletes and put them on an equal footing. Like, remember, there was over a year straight where our knockouts division was the highest rated segment of Impact Wrestling. No matter where we put them in the show, they produced, because fans wanted to watch them. Not because they were pretty, not just because they were putting on great, compelling stories, and they're having great wrestling matches. They're the total package from top to bottom. And it's something that I'm very proud of. It's something that we here at Impact Wrestling are very proud of. And having that equality where the knockouts are featured and focused on as equal to their male counterparts. And then now in today's day and age, and like I alluded to earlier, something that is, to somebody who is a Lucha Libre follower, is nothing new, but saying, hey, Tessa Blanchard isn't a good woman wrestler. She's a great wrestler, and she can go out there and wrestle anybody. And that's something that, you know, is deep rooted in Lucha Libre culture, but is new here. And being able to go out there and show that is something that we're pretty excited about.
Exactly, and comes from such a strong wrestling background, wrestling family.
Oh yeah, third generation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's hard to get away from that. When
Yeah.
You do that. Are we going to see Impact coming more to the West Coast soon, guys? We saw recently during Santa Ana. Are we going to see Impact Wrestling coming more, doing more shows in the West Coast?
I certainly think we'd like to. I think we need to look to expand and get out to new areas. That was part of it why it's been great to get out to Mexico, to get up into Canada, and certainly getting out here into the West Coast would be great as well. Because there's a great rich wrestling scene out here, and it'd be great for us to come out here and connect. And hopefully with the partnership with AXS TV now being under the Anthem banner, we're in a position now where we can come out here and fully market and get ourselves into the West Coast market.
Great. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Hey, thanks, man. Appreciate it. Thanks.